Thank you, everybody. Hi, I am Debbie Davis, and I'm an alcoholic. And I want to thank Ashley for the invitation to speak at the meeting today. Um, I come to you from Concord, California, which is outside of San Francisco. And my experience is based on a little before I got sober and after. My sobriety date is February 8, 1976. It almost feels like a long time ago when you say the 1900s these days, you know? So way back in the day, I got sober. And I'm an active participating member of the Primary Purpose Group in Dublin, California. That's my home group. I'm actively sponsored and I actively sponsor. So that's my triangle: sobriety date, home group, and sponsor, and that is my foundation for my progress here in AA, what little I've made and whatever I've made. But I want to welcome those, even though I didn't see anybody who said they were in their first 30 days. There may be those who were a little shy or something. And I want to welcome you to a way of life. I didn't know that's what I was offered and what awaited me here. But as when I would actually get serious about being sober, that was what it would become to me, as a way of life. I just thought AA was, because I don't want to do anything. I have a severe case of being lazy, the lazy butt. I believed that AA was simply a place where you'd go and you don't drink and you sit in those meetings, check, and there you go. It's all you got to do. And of course, I couldn't have been more mistaken, because there's some actions that I'm asked to take here for an amazingly different way of life. Amazing different way of life. So I was introduced to you, AA, through a treatment program in a little town called Grand Forks, North Dakota. And I'm there for a total of 7 weeks. Most people are there 4 weeks, but sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. And I was in the slowly, and pretty much have been most of my recovery in the slowly category. I really need direct information. Don't leave it for me to figure it out, because I'm not going to. I'll be off in so many directions you can't even imagine. So I'm much better off with direct communication. So I'm in there and I know they've made a mistake, because I'm way too young to be an alcoholic. Now, the good news is page 33 in our big book, Alcoholics Anonymous, took away my 2 best excuses. You see, I didn't know what alcoholism was, but I knew I didn't have it. I didn't drink it as much as you. I didn't drink as long as you did. I'm just here way too early. And when I would come to learn about the 2 primary symptoms of alcoholism, when I became really ready to be in this way of life, then I knew I was ready. Because you see, when I heard your adventures, as we have in chapter 5, these are personal adventures before and after, I compared my adventures to your adventures. So if you're hoping to hear stories about bank robberies and prison breakouts and wanted by Interpol, you're going to have to come to hear another speaker, because that is so not my story. But when I heard that, I could point to you and say, see, those people are alcoholics. They really have a problem. But all those things that I just mentioned are consequences of my drinking. They're not what make me an alcoholic. There are people dying tonight from alcoholism on their couch in their bedroom that have never had a parking ticket. So the trouble in our adventures do not identify whether or not I am an alcoholic. what identifies me as an alcoholic is the two symptoms I read about in the doctor's opinion. Number one, the mental obsession. Number two, that phenomenon of craving or the allergy. I was obsessed about drinking before I ever picked up a drink. My parents, I'm an only child. My parents are people really that are social drinkers with the dusty whiskey bottle up on the top shelf because it was never really needed to access. And until I started drinking, then it was the dust kind of got wore off of that. But they were social in their drinking. They would have company over for dinner, and that's when they would bring out that bottle. But it was one of those, on those rare occasions, not anything of common need. And I had been invited on a Monday by the cool kids in school for a party on Friday night. Ooh, boy, I couldn't wait. And somewhere between Monday and Friday, I had heard somebody talk about drinking, and I made a very conscious decision. I'm going to get drunk that night. I don't know how you do it. I think you have to drink a whole bunch, but I'm going to, because that seemed to be the most assured way that I would be accepted. And so I activated the two primary symptoms of alcoholism that night, Friday night. I woke up Friday morning, and in spot number one, I've got good ideals, be a good daughter, obey the rules, do the right thing, stay out of trouble. That's my basic DNA. I'm not somebody who is a rebel. I don't like trouble, attention. That's just basically who I am. And the second thought is, I'm going to get drunk tonight. Now, I have no idea that these two things are going to come in direct conflict with each other, but that's my second thought. I haven't even taken a drink. I don't even know how this all works. And that night, like many of you probably, I remember the first time I was drinking, I would get drunk that night. I remember a lot of the kids. I remember where we went, to a degree, I remember. And we started drinking about 6 o'clock. And I don't know what the first thing I drank was. It was in a brown paper bag, but they were passing this around from kid to kid. And when it got to me, I never asked what is it. It could have been kerosene. I was going to drink it. I took a couple pulls off that bottle, gave it to the next guy. And oh my God, I think it was kerosene. It was the most god-awful, horrible tasting, rip out your throat kind of beverage I've ever had in my life. Oh my God. I am flip-flopping on the inside, but there's this quiet little voice that comes from down below and comes into my mind and says, don't worry, you can always get another throat. And I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, we're good. I'm down with that. And that's when that first drink started to have that warm glow 2 inches behind my belly button spot. Okay, well, it's not that a band went off or fireworks, but my shoulders relaxed. And I got this warm glow 2 inches behind my belly button. I'm thinking, you know what? Oatmeal has never done this for me. I don't know what's in there. I want some more of it. And so when it came around the next time, I took a few extra glugs off it because I wanted some more of that warm, fuzzy feeling. And if there is we talk about this line. I've never read it anywhere. If anybody knows where it is in our literature, please tell me. But this line we cross from social drinking to alcoholic drinking, from a cucumber into that pickle. There's no going back. And once we cross that line into alcoholism, you can't undo that. And I crossed that. I just pole vaulted over that line. I didn't just walk over it. I just leapt over that thing. And from drink number one, my attitude was, please accept me. And drink number two was, aren't you glad I'm here? I mean, I had such a transformation of personality. And see, you all looked like you were experiencing what I was experiencing. Little did I know, I was the only little kid that got drunk in the room that night. Little did I know that is not what you were feeling and thinking and experiencing. And so that Clancy used to call the disease of perception. Nothing changed, yet everything changed. I had a new perspective on the room that night. Okay, so now I've kicked in the phenomenon of craving. I wouldn't know those words. Those not words I would ever use. They call it an allergy. Well, I don't know what that is either, so I don't think I have that either. I have no idea what an allergy is. An allergy, when I would look it up, is an unusual reaction to something or substance not normally found in others. And when I looked back at my drinking, night number 1, I activated the allergy. So I set up, and I didn't know this, my pattern, my drinking pattern. And so it was like, check. Okay, we drink as much as we can, as fast as we can, whatever we can, with whomever. That will never matter. I will black out. I was a blackout drinker from the very first night, a pass out drinker, and a dry heaves come to drinker. That was how the majority of my nights would go. And I was thinking back, my drinking years were very short compared to many people's. But I never remember telling you I'm only going to have 2. I only had 2. It was obvious I'd had more than 2, so why bother? I'm not going to get drunk tonight. It was always the plan to get drunk. But I didn't know that crazy little thing we say here, it's the first drink that gets you drunk. No, it's not. It's like 8 or 9 when I get really on a roll. I didn't understand what they meant by that. And for those who might find that a kind of a strange thing, my understanding became that when I took that first drink and put alcohol in me, another guy takes the second drink. I have a change of personality. If I told you I'm going to do something or be somewhere, that's probably not going to happen. It doesn't mean I don't care about you or didn't mean it when I said it, but I've got alcohol on board now, and that's in charge. I have no idea where I'm going to end up, with whom, doing what. And I have often looked back in those years thinking, I am so surprised but extremely grateful. The places I put myself in, the situations, around the people, that nothing ever harm was caused to me or I caused to other people by my drunk driving. That's not everybody's story. And I put myself in a lot of very dangerous places and didn't have a care in the world, didn't think anything about it. And I know that I could have been one of those stories or statistics very easily. It appears God had a bigger plan for me than I did, because my life was as big as a postage stamp. It was so tiny. Some people have these great big ideals and dreams. I mean, they never do them, but they have them. I'm going to travel. I'm going to be a big shot in my industry. I'm going to make a lot of money, have this family. Yeah, I lived from the last party to the next party. Tiny, tiny, tiny little world. And what's happened because of Alcoholics Anonymous and sobriety is my world has become the world. And being able to do service in all kinds of places, times, and so forth. Debbie Yen's on here, and she's gotten to experience that with us. And to, I never had that on my dream list, never on the bucket list. And we tell people in there when they're new, write down all the things you would like, and then look at it in 5 years. And a lot of times those things are get my driver's license, get a car insured, right? Even today, if I wrote down some things I would like, I would 5 years from now look back and shortchange myself dramatically. So I think God has a beautiful plan for all of us here. Well, getting back to this treatment program experience. So while there, I would listen. We would be taking outside meetings of AA, and I would listen to your stories, your adventures, and I would find all the differences. And of course, they encourage me, find the similarities. I don't want to, because then I might be one of those people. And so I can tell you my drinking stories very quickly by sharing with you all the things I found different. When I heard you say, I drank for 40 years, I thought, I got 35 more to go. See, I'm here way too early, way too early. I drank 7/5 of whiskey a day. I thought, well, I'm a whiskey drinker. That's a goal, right? I lost my family because of drinking. I thought, that's an extra bonus. Yes, great news. I want to lose my family. God, what a source of irritation they were. Always talking about my drinking, and yet I'd been asked to leave their home because of my drinking. Some of these things took a while for me to see the reality of them, right? You talked about your drunk driving charges. And I thought, my God, some of you have had so many, you're not very good at it. You probably should stop doing that. And I could say I didn't have any drunk driving charges. And the reason is because I worked for the city judge. This helps when you're underage drunk, drinking and driving. This helps to have. So I never had any formal charges. You talked about totaling out cars. I never totaled out a car officially. I mean, I had a little drunk car that arrived to AA, the kind that, because when you drink and drive, well, things just appear out of nowhere. You know that. Where did that parked car come from? Or where did that mailbox come from? It wasn't there a minute ago. And everything I got in trouble with a car, you could drive away from. And I did. I never left notes. Are you kidding me? I can't even get out of the car. So I had a little drunk car that arrived here, the kind when you buy them, they're rectangular, right? And then they get rounded out with the drunk bumps, and things are missing and they're broken and they don't work anymore. And my driver's window had been shot out. And you'd think I remember when that happened, vaguely. And my gas cap was a mitten I had stuck in there. I lost that somewhere. I'm resourceful. Mittens work. I'm driving a Molotov cocktail around. I mean, my God, it just, all people point that out to you and you think, well, yeah. And I mean, this is how void of reality we get, or how I got. It met with a shrug, an oh, well, yeah, stuff happens. I don't know what happened. And it meets with this disconnect of reality. You talked about losing jobs, and okay, I lost quite a few jobs. I quit before I got fired. My jobs were drinking money producers. They were not career starters. I didn't care what I was doing. I just needed money to drink. Excuse me. I had tried illegal means and was unsuccessful because I tried to be a drug dealer and I was my only customer. That you will not make money that way. And so I worked for legitimate jobs. But I did go through them pretty quickly. These were at night. I worked for the judge in the afternoon. And so I heard you talk about those things. Then there was a woman who talked about trying to scrub away the smell. Oh, that got my attention. She said she was an alcoholic and that was booze coming through her pores. And she doesn't drink anymore. Ew. I've had this funny odor for about a year, and I, honest to goodness, do not know what it's from. I would puff and powder and perfume it. No, no. I knew I stunk, and I didn't know why. And when she said that, it hit me. And I thought, if I'm not careful, I might be one of those people. So I had a lot of information. I had some literature, but I was still at step 0. I went to Minneapolis and I would be there a total of 9 months in this halfway house for women. The first 7 months I did the barest bones minimum, which was don't drink. I mean, makes sense. People are trying to put their life together. And I knew it meant all those other things. And go to one Alcoholics Anonymous meeting a month. Well, when you're not working, you can kind of fit that in. So I would go to the one meeting a month, but I would even minimize that. I'd walk in when it started. I left when it was over. Got her done. Check it off the list. Here's the piece of paper all signed, halfway house. I was too stupid to know that I could just go to the movies and sign it myself in funny handwriting. No, so I was honest. They really were real signatures of those secretaries. But I'm not there for me. I'm here to get this piece of paper signed. And you can keep your little pieces of paper with your phone number on it. I'm never going to use them. I'm not going to call them. Just back off. Just back up. And 7 months go by, and I went to visit my mother, who lived in San Jose, California at the time. And I was there 2.5 weeks. In the first week, I was hanging out with the people I used to drink with. Like, who else am I going to hang out with? I mean, call AA? I don't think so. And the last week and a half, drunk and loaded with them. No surprise. Not even to me. Because you see, I had done absolutely nothing to protect, to maintain my physical sobriety that I had acquired at that point. Nothing. But the surprise was the drinking. I had been living 7 months in the fantasy in my head of the booze, the boys, the bars, the woohoo, let's a party. It couldn't have been any more different. I took a couple of drinks of whatever the mystery was, and my next memory is a week and a half later on the flight home. I've never had a week and a half blank out. I don't, lie detector test, I have no idea what happened. Once again, extremely grateful for God's protection. I made the decision when I came home that I've really learned my lesson, and I ramped my meetings up from 1 a month to 1 a week. I changed nothing else. I still walked in when it started, left immediately. If people said to me, hey, do you go to AA? I would have said, yeah. I had no clue what Alcoholics Anonymous was or what was here. None at all. Have you got a sponsor? Oh, I don't need somebody telling me what to do. I desperately did, but I would have wasted their breath and time. Do you have a home group? Oh, no. I'm not a joiner. No. Have you got a big book? Yeah, I've got one around here somewhere. My big book was so unused, we could have resold it for new. Okay. It was just not on my reading list. So 5 weeks go by, and I go to this one meeting a week, and I get a letter on a Friday from these friends in California, and it has one joint in it. Now, I know this is a meeting of AA, and if this story had no significance, I wouldn't bother with it. But it tells me so many lessons. Number one, I never told anybody what I had gotten. I decided to keep it just in case I might need it someday. And yeah, I never was a pot smoker much. I mean, you do it now and then, but it's just like boring. It's so slow before anything happens. And I'm a get downtown now kind of girl. I'm a grab that fresh bottle of whiskey, uncap it, pitch that away. You'll never need that again. Buckle up because you're loading up some acid and some speed, and you're going to get wherever you're going quicker and in color. And I am down for that kind of action. That's my kind of fun. But pot, oh my God, it's just such a nuisance. It stinks. It's just horrible. But it was there. It was there. And so I decided to keep it in case I need it someday. And it would turn out I needed it the next day. That was pretty good timing. So on Saturday, I get this all plotted and planned in my mind. And I did not know that that would be the day for me of my psychic change. I had no idea. Before I lit that match, I had no intention of changing my sobriety date. I was going to lie. I wasn't going to tell you because my attitude was none of your business. It was just going to be one more secret. But God had other plans. Because by the end of that experience, I was altered enough. I was no longer 100% real, altered just enough to find it repulsive, regretting what I had done. And it felt like inside that nuclear bomb went off, and the picture, the visual of the nuclear bomb, where it falls, it doesn't hit the ground, but it explodes in midair. Boom, white light. Wow. It just levels everything within miles of itself. And what it leveled within me was all the excuses. The yeah, but, the most deadly, I know. My case is different. You don't understand. I'm too young. I never did X and Y and Z and blah, blah, blah. All the whining, as if I have any markings of being someone different. We all think we're so unique, and we are so garden variety. Our experiences might have been different from one other person's, but we are so garden variety. We all fit. This is a program of recovery for a way of life, no matter what my background is. And I was repulsed by being loaded and found myself like attracted to the people in AA. And so the next day was Sunday, and I went to, I was sober all day. I went to the meeting. That was the regular meeting night I went to. And I went to the meeting, and I decided to go early. I'll go 20 minutes early. It wasn't like this big announcement within myself. But, I felt like I was going the day before. God, who goes 20 minutes early, right? Well, in an active in-person home group, they're there, 20 minutes early, and my home group is late. You're late. We've been here. We're on our second cup of coffee. Where you been? And so, because somebody's got to be there for that new face coming in the door, that new scared face. And they might be somebody who is checking out a new group, visiting, new to AA, returning. I don't know. but they're unfamiliar to me. So I go and I begin to have a new experience with Alcoholics Anonymous. We call it the music of AA. I started hearing the laughter and the chattering and the conversations going on. Then I started to feel the heartbeat of the room, the energy of each other, the handshakes and the hugs and the pats on the back. You don't get that when you walk in on time or come late and leave right away. So you don't get that. That's elusive. That doesn't happen. So I experienced 1/3 of AA when there's 2/3 more to go. But I bare bonesed it as long as I could. So I went over to the long timers and I said, so like, what do you do to stay sober? And they shared with me 7 things. They didn't number them, but it turns out to be 7 things that has changed my life. And the things that I find are my guidelines for an enjoyable, rich, in spirit recovery journey. And if you are new, struggling to stay sober, keep relapsing, I have been here a number of years and are kind of rusty and crusty. You don't have that you're not lit up anymore with AA. Check out these things and how they're doing in your life. And maybe there's some things because we don't want to lose you. We need you. And so the very first thing they says, 1 day at a time, we don't take that first drink. And I knew that meant all those other things. And get a sobriety date. So I've shared with you my sobriety date, February 8, 1976. It's still my sobriety date. And it's never been compromised in all these 48 plus years. They said that we go to a lot of meetings and we get a home group. I've lived in 4 different parts of the United States, and therefore I've had 4 different home groups. But I realized when I moved up to where I am now 24 years ago, I've also had 4 different last names, but that's kind of a separate story. I've had every home group had a different last name to it. I am a member of the Primary Purpose Group in Dublin, California, and I'm an active, committed member. In my community, people like to have something within about a 5-mile radius, a 5-minute radius from their home. That's fine. I don't care. But so they'll say to me, why do you drive all the way from Concord to Dublin? As if I'm driving to Nevada, which is 4.5 hours away. And my answer is simple, because I like what I get. You see, I am not willing to trade convenience for quality. My home group is definitely not based on convenience. It's based on the commitment I have made to it. And I love that preparation of going to the meeting, the half-hour drive to the meeting, the half-hour drive from the meeting, the time I spend, and I get there 45 minutes before it starts. And I'm not saying that to be, oh, aren't you special? I'm not saying it for that reason. I really know that I need to fully invest and not just drop in to my home group, not just show up. Because I've been 3 things in AA. I've been a member, I've been an attender, and a visitor. And I want to be a member is better. Member feels good. Love member. They said that we get a sponsor, or those of you who don't know that familiar, a mentor. It's not a paid position. And yet as a sponsor, I just get overpaid with getting to watch people's lives change, watching God work and this program of AA work in their life. I've been blessed with 4 different sponsors. I've been working with Marilyn, my current sponsor now, for about 4.5 years. My prior sponsor, after 33 years with Millie, passed away. And so at 48, I still have a sponsor, and Marilyn has 52 years and she still has a sponsor. And so I know that you need one at least till you're 52 years sober and longer, because I cannot be my ultimate authority. Okay. I really agree with my ideas. I think they're good, and I think I should straighten that person out. And I think I should do all kinds of things that a sponsor will say, let's hold on just a second there. And this helps me so much to be transparent, not just, oh, I want to look good in front of her. There's no question about that. But on the other hand, that doesn't benefit me at all. So, sponsorship, the taking of the steps, because I use that verb specifically because that's what chapter 5 uses. You're ready to take certain steps. Here are the steps we took. It has a different feeling about it to me. It's like internalizing it. And I have gone through the steps throughout my time, probably for myself about 7 times. But I have taken hundreds through the 12 steps, because step 12 to me doesn't say start over. Let's do more analysis. If you figure out why you have this problem, it will go away. No, actions will make it go away or lessen in my case. So watching and helping someone else through to have that spiritual awakening, that's what step 12 is to me, not start over. They said the traditions, those aren't just for the group. You're a member of the group. Why don't you learn how to apply the traditions at group level? And oh, by the way, how about in your personal life? They have been the best tools to apply in a personal way that I know of. There's gajillions of books in the library online of how to do relationships. I don't know of a better simplistic way than the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. They might not have been technically designed for personal application. I don't care. They work really, really well for me. And the changes it has brought in me about growing up, having adult relationships, because our common welfare comes first, not just Debbie's welfare. Group conscience, yeah, let me hear all of the opinions, especially the opposing ones. Self-support, of course you can support me, no problem. And learning how to keep my opinions to myself. Not one person on this call cares about what my opinions are, from apples to zebras. You could care less. And I don't really care about your opinions either, so it's always better if I just keep them to myself. I've got them, believe me, but it causes more problems than benefit. So why don't I just keep them to myself? So the opinions, the traditions have been very valuable. Service. They were clear that service was the stuff you did outside of your home group comfort level. So learning to be a general service representative or intergroup, or work in hospitals and institutions, not work, but carry the message. To do that, you always had a commitment in your home group. If you didn't, you were a taker. That was the attitude. You've been a taker long enough, time to be a giver. And so even if I had to make up a commitment in my home group, I still needed to have a commitment that was irrelevant, because I couldn't be that taker anymore. Oh, let the new people do it. No, I'll be new with that kind of an attitude. So I think it's important that I'm participating and be an example that still, after this length of time, you still have commitments in your home group. You are never super sober that you don't have to carry a chair or pick up a cup or be the greeter or bring the coffee. No. This is part of the contribution I get to make to the group's harmony. And this is service. I'm not a regular here at this meeting. I'm going to be going to I've already talked at one meeting this morning and on online platform in Israel. I'll be going to another meeting tonight in person here in nearby. So, being a part of Alcoholics Anonymous is a fun way of life for me. And then the last thing was carry the message. Everyone on this call has a message to carry. Everyone has a way to reach people. I never will, based whether it's your experience or the way you say it or the way you do it. So all of us to be available to carry the message of hope and courage and recovery to that alcoholic who's still suffering, whether it be the long timer who's here a number of years to the new member. Next month, as you know, is our big membership drive month, and I say that lovingly, that we get a lot of people on those resolutions of making a new start. Let's give them the best Alcoholics Anonymous we can, so that they don't have to keep drinking and dying, and they have hope here. Let's pass that on. And so for allowing me to share my experience, strength, and hope and carry the message I have, thank you so much for your time and attention.